Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Pre-Order Bonus Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Warren, and I'm joined, as always, by the Pixel Professor, Jacob Price. It's March 13th, 2026. We're back to talk about video games. Jake, Crimson Desert, I think it's real. I've finally decided, I've committed, I think it's real.
Yeah, what did I see from somebody? I saw some social media post. I can't remember, but basically I think it's real. They released the console specs. Did you see those?
Yeah.
It sounds like to me that they are playing it as safe as they can. So basically I think on PS5 and on Xbox, the balanced mode, or I can't remember, the highest FPS you're going to get on it is 40.
Yeah.
Which I think is fine.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Considering what that thing is trying to do, I think that, I think they've probably spent a lot of time optimizing it. So good. I'm glad.
Yeah, dude, I think this is going to be one of the highest selling games of the year. I don't know in terms of like critical acclaim. You know, you never know with giant open world games. Like they're usually pretty divisive just because people get bored. But I think in terms of what it offers, like it'll probably end up being one of the highest. And dude, they've kind of given the keys to Digital Foundry. Digital Foundry's like run through this thing and come away shockingly impressed. And that was the biggest thing is like when you see videos and screenshots of this thing, you're like, there is no way this runs on an actual computer. Just in terms of like visual fidelity and draw distance and like the size of the world. But apparently it does. So that's kind of nuts. Anyway.
Yeah, I think those were the two concerns, right? Number one was performance, like specifically console performance. Well, and I mean, one thing that I've learned, right, is that PC performance is such a big gamble also because you just have thousands of different configurations of whatever people's rigs are. And it's just like impossible to test them all. And then just with the I guess it's a double-edged sword, right, for both these. For PC, like you can have a gamer who has spent, I don't know, 20K on their rig and they just like are going to be able to play anything no matter what. And then with consoles, you're only working with one type of setup, really, but you are working like within those hard limitations of what a console can do. But yeah, performance was one of the issues. And then you and I had talked about this. It was like quality of narrative and side quests.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like one of those boxes is checked. As I've said it before, I'm kind of mad about that because this is a massive game and I might be feeling the draw to try to play it.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I still don't know if I'm ready to pre-order, but I'm very close. I'm like close where I feel like I do still want to excuse me for one sec. Sneeze coming. I've been fighting off a cold this week. I think I'm at the tail end of it, but apologies. Yeah, it hasn't reached like cough stage. Like I've kept it contained to the sinuses. And so I just need to like resolve the sinus anyway, but I have like sneezes that come on. Yeah, so I'm excited. That's next week. That's like the big AAA thing dropping next week. So we'll see what the reception is to that and kind of how it shakes out. But yeah. Jake, that game's too big for you, right? Are you out?
I mean, I'm feeling the draw. If I get some really stellar reviews, like there's a chance. It's not a snowball's chance in hell. Maybe, it's better than that. But man, I'm kind of riding a high right now because I just wrapped up a few games.
Nice.
And I don't have any major obligations for the next few weeks. So I'm actually going back to some games that I haven't finished.
You've got spring break, right?
Spring break, baby.
You're living the high life. You're living the dream right now.
Oh, dude, spring break is usually really great. And honestly, this one has been great. I have worked quite a lot of it because I needed to get on top of a few things just with some of my classes and in grading, but I'm feeling pretty good about where I'm at.
And PAX 2 weeks from today. We'll be present at PAX, hopefully playing some new game demos and stuff. So
I know I haven't even looked at the exhibitor list yet. I've just been busy with other things.
Honestly, should we just go in with no plan, just wing it? Is that a bad idea? Just like follow the spirit of gaming and have it take us to where we need to go?
I mean, it's not a bad plan. That's what I did last year, and I think it worked out pretty well. I think just I think the maybe one thing I learned from last year is like pick a line and just stick in that line. Don't duck out of a
Don't
line.
deviate. Yeah, just commit.
Just commit to whatever that line is and go through it. Of course, I'm a really big fan of indie games, and so some of the bigger lines were easy to avoid. So like last year, they were celebrating the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering crossover,
I
and
see.
you could pose with the Buster Sword, and I was like, oh man, this would be
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah,
But that
must
line was
see.
like 5 hours long, so like not worth it. I'd rather wait in a bunch of 30-minute lines to demo a game for 15 minutes than just sit in a
Yeah,
huge line or whatever.
right.
But yeah, lots of games to try. I'm excited for it.
Well, Jake, I've been playing a game called, speaking of indie games, a game called Esoteric Ebb on Steam. This is
Tell me about
a,
it, man.
yeah, this is a fantasy disco Elysium. So
Okay.
you play a cleric in this sort of Dungeons and Dragons esque city, and your job is to solve a crime, which was I can't remember if it was like a potion shop or a magic shop
Okay.
uh, that gets blown up, and you're trying to
Right.
investigate and like figure out why it got blown up, and it takes place amidst the basically amidst like an election. So there's some like political, like fantasy political, and then they obviously make parallels to kind of modern day. Anyway, there's some interesting things going on. I do want to continue and play more. It is very very reading heavy, extremely reading heavy. So you definitely have to be
Mm,
like, I think you have to play it with like a fresh mind, like maybe like on a
yeah.
Saturday morning or like a Saturday afternoon when like you're fresh, because you have to read a lot and you have to like take in what you're actually reading. But it is cool. Tons of various options, tons of things that you can, like different ways you can approach like the different scenarios, tons of different outcomes.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's cool.
I just might give it a try. That's a pretty good. Seems like you're pretty hot on it, or at least pretty warm on it.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I'm gonna keep going, but again, it's you definitely have to be in the right mindset. Uh, it's just as an adult, it's hard to find like the exact right time to have like energy to play a game and that in a way that it
yeah.
needs to be played. And this one, it just happens to, it's like a novel, right? Like every conversation is like 10 or 15 pages like from a fantasy novel, so you have to lock in.
That's a lot. Yeah. Very cool. Um, let's see. I actually got an 8-bit Do controller, man, for as a birthday gift. Dude, these things are cool. So I've actually been playing a bunch of games on PC because I got one that was wired for PC. I'm back playing Kingdoms of the Dump, which man, I fell off this game. I didn't even fall off of it. I finished Act One and then I just got busy with other things, and it's super fun to come back to it. Um, would love to beat that one soon. And then I finished Resident Evil Requiem last night, Cameron.
Oh my gosh, dude! See, I was on a really good path, and then I was been fighting off this cold, so I've been going to bed early and haven't been able to play. So I'm kind of ticked.
It's awesome.
But you finished it, yeah? I mean, dude, it's so good so far. Like, I mean, I expect it's going to continue to like be good. But dude, what a perfect like. This is what AAA games should be. You know,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Big fan of what they've done there. So I think my final play time was probably 11 hours, which I think is exactly what How Long to Beat has it for. I'm a little surprised just because in some areas I felt like I was pretty thorough, like not just doing main story stuff. Um, as I've come to learn that in a Resident Evil game, if you get like a code for a safe, going back and unlocking those safes is typically worth it. You usually get some pretty good things out of there that will carry you over to the next section. So, yeah, just wrap that up, man. We're gonna dedicate our next episode is on Resident Evil, so we won't talk too much about it now, but huge fan of that one, man. Resident Evil 9, I think, really crushed it. And you're right. This is kind of what I want from a AAA game. Like, super high polish, really good looking graphics, awesome art direction, in a game that just this is paced incredibly well. So, yeah.
Is this the perfect is RE Requiem like the perfect AAA video game? We can talk about that. We can address that on the actual episode, but
yeah.
And what I mean, it doesn't mean it's a 10 out of 10. I just mean, like, does it... I feel like it just checks a lot of boxes that I want in, like, a high production video game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, if it fulfills what it sets out to do, you know, that to me is what a perfect game is, right? In that, like, it clearly establishes what its goals are, and it just knocks it out of the park on all those goals. Yeah. It's definitely... I think... I like thinking about games in that way because a game doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to do everything perfectly well. Like, and to be honest, like, I don't typically listen to Resident Evil for like the music, right?
Yeah.
But I am listening for the sound design, and sound design is incredibly important for a horror game. So if it crushes that, you know, even if I can't remember or hum along to any of the songs, then I think the game still did an amazing job, you know?
Yeah, dude, it's so polished. Like, you know, it's funny. Like, I don't necessarily find the story particularly fascinating, but I want to see what happens. And so it's just like perfect, like B movie plot almost, right? Where it's like, it's not doing a lot. It doesn't have a lot of like very interesting themes. It doesn't really make me think about anything, but it's just like, I just want to eat the popcorn and like keep going. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's like, yeah, I'm excited to talk about it next week. Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to finish it. I'll get over this cold and finish it this weekend.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I guess one more thing we should mention is Project Helix was announced. Officially, this is Xbox's new thing. This is obviously kind of in a response to the new Xbox leadership. Satya got up there. They had like a big meeting, I think, with all the employees. He kind of re-expressed a commitment to gaming, which, I mean, they're saying all the right things, Jake. Like, so who knows what it actually means, but they are saying all the right things. Sounds like dev kits for this thing is going out next year. And something that I predicted, I don't think I necessarily predicted in an episode, but what I was saying, I don't know if I remember, was in our like group homies text thread or on Discord, is that it looks like they are trying to get all your Xbox and Xbox 360 back compat games playable on PC via emulation. And that's how they're going to make this new thing, like your PC Xbox do everything box, is because they'll handle the back compat via emulation. And then in theory, you'd also be able to play those games like on PC. So you'd have your whole library like on PC, which is nuts.
I mean, that would be really cool.
So,
yeah.
What's your thoughts on this, Jake? I mean, it looks like they're still going forward with this like PC Xbox hybrid box, and they announced that they're launching Windows Xbox mode as well. So
yeah, I didn't understand that, I'll be honest.
I think that just means like almost like, you know, when you do like Steam big picture mode, you ever done that?
Okay, yeah, vaguely.
I think it's kind of like that for Windows, but for Xbox stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, which is cool. I mean, it just like basically turns your PC into like more of a gaming device. So I think that's
right.
That's what my guess would be. This Project Helix will like be kind of the homepage will launch into that. So I know that's cool. I think the biggest thing is like, is this thing going to be like a $1,200 box? And given the state of kind of economics moving forward over the next couple of years, it's like, dude, who in the freak is going to go buy a $1,200? I mean, you reach the point of $1,200 and you're like, I'll just buy a mid-budget PC at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. And you'll have access to emulators and Steam, right? So,
well, in theory, if this thing's a PC, then in theory you'd also have Steam. So that's also an interesting proposition. If this is just, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, dude, I don't want to talk about just like greater economic woes right now, but like in terms of like them talking about this new Xbox thing, I think you're right. I think it's mostly PR to just say, "Hey, we are recommitted to gaming. We're not exiting the console market." You know, so everybody just sit tight. We got something cool cooking. I think for me personally, yeah, when it gets here, I'll see it and I'll judge it. But in the time being, um, I'm mostly just like let this news wash over me, and I've just kind of moved on with my life.
Yeah,
Um,
I kind of agree. Yeah.
so yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know. It'll happen. The PS6 will also happen. But those to me just feel so far away still that I'm not really worried about it.
yeah, I agree. And I think we talked about this before when I had a crash out last year around like how much everything costs. And I think I'm
Yeah.
kind of still in that headspace of like, dude, nobody has any money left. How are people going to buy this thing? Like you have these businesses have to accept the reality at a certain point. You either say, yes, we want everybody to buy it and we're going to price it accordingly. If we can't price it accordingly, then like to me it's like why build it? You need to focus on a different strategy.
Yeah.
Like if you can't get it priced the way that you think, strategy B is like you just accept that it's a prestige niche artisanal buy for like a very high level, high spending gamer. And that's who it's for. And that's it.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you.
It's like, dude, everything costs so much. It's like people are having to make decisions now with like a freaking war going on and gas prices are going to go through the roof. That's going to like make this all even worse than it already is. So it's like, we're running out of runaway, man. Like there's only so much dispensable income to go around. And then AI, right?
Yeah.
Like we're getting apocalyptic into the talk, but AI eliminating white collar, high paying jobs, right? So we're headed towards it feels very gloomy. I'm just gonna be like, these corporations want to continue to make money. The big Illuminati cabal that controls all this, right? If we believe in that,
Yeah.
they need to get together and figure that out because we're reaching
Yeah.
a point where like we're not gonna be able to buy stuff, and that's how they make money is people buying stuff.
So honestly, I've had this thought quite a lot the past few months, which is if you want, yeah, how are you supposed to make money if nobody has the money to buy your product or service?
Yes.
Where does that come from? Your investors only got so much, you know. All of the every single business is dependent on the everyman and woman to participate in their, economy in some capacity. So the more and more you exclude those people, the more you're just trading around a bunch of ones and zeros rather than actual dollar bills, and that's a problem. But
It's sure
that
not a
can't
great
happen,
way
right?
to build loyalty. It's not a great long term strategy. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess we'll see what happens. Like I think for me, I made my upgrade at the end of last year or beginning of this year when the whims were coming out around like increasing hardware prices, and like
yeah,
that's all I'm going to do now for the indefinite future. I like, uh, you know, like
yeah.
the prices are so horrible that, and I think most people are in my position where it's like, yep, I've got what I've got. So come to me where I'm at, or I'm not going anywhere.
Just write it out. And you know what's crazy is I think with gaming too is that how many of us have just super deep backlogs? If
Yeah,
things get too
everybody.
expensive, if a game at retail costs me $100, I mean, I'm thinking like GTA 6 also. If GTA 6 like retails at $100, one, I'm not that interested in it, but two, it's like, okay, I also have how many games in my backlog?
Well, they don't really need you for GTA 6 because they're gonna have
That's true. GTA 6,
the
they don't
rest of the
need me.
world. Yeah, but GTA 6 is almost like its own category. It's like an anomaly,
Yeah,
right? Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Pokemon Pocopia, on the other hand, Jake.
On the other hand,
Dude,
yeah.
this is Jake. This is the new system seller for the Switch. Like it turns out.
That's yeah, and I can't remember some headline I read that was like, it's not this maybe have been a smash hit that even Nintendo wasn't ready for.
Yeah, apparently they don't have you can't get physical copies. They don't have
Yeah,
stock.
they're out of stock for physical copies.
Jake,
I was
as
actually,
sorry, go
yeah.
ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I was at a store recently and we walked by the gaming section and yeah, totally gone. No Pokemon Pokopia anywhere.
That's insane. I bought it. I ended up buying it. I
Ooh,
caved
okay.
because this is what I do. If I do this, this is just what my mo. But my family does like cozy games, and my son likes Minecraft. And
Yeah.
so my kids randomly the other day we were actually texting in the group chat around Pokemon cards,
Hmm.
and out of nowhere we're in the car, and I look back and both my kids have Pokemon card flip books and are like going through, and I'm like, what is happening right now? So they randomly, and then they've like gone over to their neighbor friend's house to like trade Pokemon cards. I was like, dude, what is this? Is like so random. Anyway, somehow my kids over the years have gathered Pokemon cards through various
Yeah.
means. Some from like McDonald's, some from random people like giving them to him. So anyway, so he's like into Pokemon like enough where I'm like, yeah, and he likes cozy games and like Minecraft. So I picked it up, and
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'll just say this: they absolutely nailed the loop, and it just having played like the 2.5 hours that I played of it, I absolutely see why people are so insanely addicted to this thing. Like they just nailed the gameplay loop here. Like it is so addictive. Jake, you're the biggest Pokemon fan I know. I know you're still on the fence. Where are you at now?
The temptation is always strong. I think we're gonna hold out for a birthday or
Gotcha.
to the holidays if we can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right now, my kids are pretty into the games that they have access to. Right, so one of my kids, surprisingly, is like super into Forza Horizon 5 still. So
Oh, nice. Yeah.
that's what they're playing, which is great. They're both playing. Actually, maybe ironically enough, they're playing Pokemon Leaf Green.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay.
and one of my kids has been watching me play Timberborne because I have kind of
Oh,
crammed Timberborne into every single open moment that I have in the
yeah.
past week.
Me as well. Yep.
And one of my kids is like, "Dad, when can I play? Dad, when can I play? Dad, when can I play?" Like my kid will stop watching TV if he sees me boot up Timberborn. He's like, "What are you doing? What are you working on?" I'm like, "Holy cow,
What are you
dude!"
working on? Get me
Yeah.
in there.
So after I pick him up from school today, I'm gonna let him play Timberborn all afternoon. But
Dude,
yeah,
Timberborn's pretty is he gonna I mean, that's impressive if he can get in there and handle Timberborn. I mean, it's even kind of complicated for me, and I'm like
dude,
it's
I
tough, dude.
I spent a ridiculous amount of time trying to figure out districts because that is actually a really crucial component to this game.
Mhm.
And he's like with me. He's like, "Dad, let me see your phone. Let me look this thing up for you." I'm like, "Sure, man." So I have like my little Timberborn assistant over here, and I'm like, "Ask, can you like look this thing up about districts or look this thing up about building dams over here?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." So I kind of feel like he's apprenticed enough
He
that
can maybe figure it out. Okay.
he can maybe figure it out. It is a super complex game, but dang, it's probably one of my favorite city builders. It's like sits there between city builder and like automation games, right?
Yeah. Well,
Um, yeah,
let,
let's just start.
let's get
We're in
into
it.
it. That is our game of the show, Timberborn. Jake actually got a key for this one, and the 1.0. Is that out today or yesterday?
March 13th. So yesterday it came out.
March 13th. Isn't that today? March 13th?
March 12th it came out.
March 12th. Okay, yeah. Came out in 1.0 yesterday. This has been in early access for a long time. I've actually owned this for probably a year, so I had played it up until a little bit. And then Jake mentioned that they were giving out keys for the 1.0 launch, and I was like, yes, go grab that, and then we can talk about it on the show. So, Jake, how are we going to break down Timberborn?
So first, thank you so much for the review key that was gifted to us, and so that I could be playing the game on. And I've been playing the 1.0 build. Um, I think this will be cool because you and I both have different experiences with Timberborn, kind of coming into it.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll be talking about it in three categories. The first one is the narrative. We'll talk about the. I think we'll mostly end up talking about the setting because the story here is quite light. After that, we'll be talking about just the game design, different mechanics that you're interacting with. I already said it. This is like somewhere sits between a city builder and an automation game. And so we'll be talking about how those elements work. And then finally, we'll talk about the impact on the industry. We'll speculate a little bit. If you're longtime listeners of the Pre-Order Bonus podcast, you know that we are pretty big fans of the early access model. And it seems like Timberborn was able to benefit from that as well. But we will talk about just we'll zoom out and we'll talk about Timberborn and the greater landscape of the video games industry as it's happening right now.
So Timberborn, Timberborn. This game has been in early access actually for a long time. It's been very high up the list of top ranked city builders for years at this point, like on Steam. In
Yeah.
fact, let me see if I can find. So I got it a long time ago, just because I think. Whoops. Overwhelmingly positive on Steam. It did release March 12th, 2026, but I wish I could see where it came in early access, because it was a while ago. It was early access release date September 15th, 2021.
Whoa, 5 years. My guess was 2.
Yeah, so 5 years. So I've had this for a little while. Um, and I'm just gonna start right off. This is a fantastic city builder and automation game, but massive but. This is a game, and we're starting off talking about the narrative, primed for a really great campaign / story mode that is non-existent. And it has great in fact, they literally released a lore trailer. I watched the lore trailer. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is like there was some sort of apocalypse, and the remaining peoples were, I don't know if it's just like only beavers in this world, or if just the beavers were the one that was. Anyway, these are like anthropomorphic beavers that are like have human intelligence.
Yeah.
And this is some sort of a post-apocalyptic world that they are basically terraforming the world to bring back and create like a thriving beaver civilization. That's like kind of the narrative lore. But there is no campaign mode at all. There's not even like a tutorial campaign with scenarios that kind of explores like what seems to me like really great world, really great like environmental storytelling, fantastic sort of like commentary on like terraforming and like sort of this sort of like beaver civilization. And anyway, these are just interesting ideas, but I was so disappointed like there was no even like a just sort of small one scenario map that just has the sort of one end objective that's sort of like the introduction, right? A lot of these city builder games will have like a tutorial campaign, and then it'll just open you up to sandbox. I was shocked to see that even in 1.0 like that didn't make it in here.
It's interesting that my timing is really weird with playing Timberborn, because what was it? I want to say it was Monday, so early this week. My kids didn't have school because it was like a snow comp day, right? And we didn't have any snow days this year.
Yeah.
So they randomly have this Monday off. And so my wife and I, we take all the kids to go see the movie Hoppers, which I don't know if you've seen trailers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? It's starring a beaver, right? Or somebody in a beaver suit. But anyway, it's interesting because one thing that my spouse and I, we really liked the movie. It has this great message. It's like very clearly like pro environment, and it's teaching you about, just ecosystems and environmentalism and why it matters, right? We loved how those messages were framed and how they were told, but also it has this focus on like beavers being a keystone species for a specific glade, like this environment.
Mm-hmm.
And the game not the game, but the movie gets super wacky, and it's better for it. I think it just gets really wacky. So I came fresh out of Hoppers into this Timberborn review key, and I kind of had a similar reaction where I was like, man, I feel like you could have done something. This is the moment here where like, and I feel like just because the premise of this game is like you were running this like beaver civilization, like you could have made this story serious about the environment. You could have made this story wacky about beavers. There could have been something here for sure. What I kind of gleaned from what is present is that, there's some sort of post-apocalyptic event. There's bad water, and you essentially can research ways to cap the bad water from spilling out. And you can create different like pump systems so that you can help clean up the environment. But I was kind of surprised that it seems to be pretty light on environmentalism, even though it's a game that feels like it would be like pretty, like have some environmentalist message beyond like, hey, in order for your civilization to survive, you have to take care of pollution or garbage. Right. So yeah, I would say I was surprised. Maybe I think a tutorial campaign would have worked really well. I totally agree with that. A full-fledged campaign. I mean, this game doesn't quite work like something like Age of Empires. So I don't know if I would have really cared, but I think a tutorial campaign would have been fine and would have benefited just kind of what's happening there as is.
Yeah, I think I just love like Frostpunk, and I see like Frostpunk sort of ish style stuff like in this, right? At least like Frostpunk
Yeah.
1, where there's this sort of race against time like with the droughts, similar to Frostpunk, like has the
Right.
like the you know, the storms that come through and you have to like weather those storms. And like, oh man, I just, dude, that would have taken this from a like 8.5 out of 10 to like a 10 out of 10 for me. Like if it just had, I was even online looking to see if somebody had made like a story mod, which it sounds like with maybe with 1.0 release, like maybe we'll get that, because I think they've
Right.
expanded the modding tools quite a bit. But other than that, like, yeah, very cool like beaver civilization game with like fun, you know, that you they put a ton of thought and energy into like thinking about, you know, the different building types and kind of the different needs that the beavers have, and like kind of the different things that you go through, and how you kind of build the environment. And we'll talk about when we talk about the gameplay, but just the whole terraforming water damming mechanic in and of itself, that's like a whole game
Yeah.
like in and of itself.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, and we could just start there as we're talking game design. Man, the way that this game utilizes like water as a resource, I think is extremely cool. And when you think of beavers, obviously you think of beaver dams because it's like a really unique thing that this animal does, you know, as when it's creating homes, and it has this huge impact on the surrounding environment. So yeah, I think that aspect of it, where you know, create water pumps early on, but you can create bridges to get over water ways that you don't want dammed. You can divert water into different areas. And you mentioned one of the chief mechanics, which is kind of this race against time. Droughts will come and they'll last for X amount of days, just like in game days.
Yep.
And you need to be ready to have your beavers kind of survive through those droughts. And it's nice that you get some warning before it happens. But yeah, during a drought, I mean, it is exactly what it sounds like. The water stops flowing. Now, what I did, and so you need to be prepared for how you're going to handle that, but you can also manipulate how and where water flows to.
Yeah.
And so, for example, in the map that I'm playing on, there's a few lakes that wouldn't completely dry up during a drought. And so
Gotcha.
I thought to myself, okay, so this is a resource that I can use if a drought is really bad. Like, I need to be able to have access to these water points so I can keep my beavers alive and I can keep the civilization running.
Yep.
So I agree. I think that as like this moment to create tension of like where and how and why you're building what it is that you're building makes us feel like a sandbox with some pretty defined parameters, which I think kind of boosts. I don't know. For me, I guess what I'm trying to say is that it reoriented how I was strategizing, like building my city, rather than just being like, let me just build a city for fun, like something in City and Skylines, which is great. Don't get me wrong,
Right.
but here I just loved having that goal where it's like, okay, but I have to prepare for this event that I know is coming.
Yeah, I agree. I think I got to a point. So I had several different playthroughs. The first few, I just completely failed. I think I reached like a drought and I like wasn't ready for it, because it took me, it honestly took me a long time to figure out that you could even manipulate the water. Right. It just took me a while
Mm,
to like get my head around like how the dams worked. And including in my last, most recent playthrough, I got things going like to a pretty great pace, had all my resources. I admittedly switched to easy because I'm not smart. So I moved it to easy just to like give myself a buffer to actually figure out some mechanics. But that actually did help. And then I finally actually reached the stage of the game where I was like, okay, I'm ready to like start manipulating the waterway. And I was
yeah.
playing the waterfall scenario. And I
Okay.
guess baseline like gameplay loop, this game follows a lot of other um city builder mechanics, game design. If you've played the Anno games, if you played kind of games similar to that where there's like resource gathering, population management, it's very, very, very similar to like the Anno games. But the one thing that again, like the interesting angle, besides it being like beaver themed, which is cool in and of itself, is
Yeah.
again like this whole water manipulation. So what ended up happening to me is I was trying to make a massive dam on the river so I could raise the like level super high. Well, I didn't quite understand like how the leveling actually worked, and as I was messing around with it, I accidentally rose the water level one tile and flooded my entire city. And so I was
Nice.
trying to like figure out how to fix it, and that's like the last place I left off on my playthrough is because I'd got my civilization kind of humming to a good point, although logs were still a bottleneck, which was annoying. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like between the city builder and an automation game. I typically don't love automation games, even though there's a pretty big crossover between automation games and city builders, but I do really like city builders.
yeah,
For me, this was like the perfect gateway game into automation games
nice.
because it's dressed in the style of a city builder. But so much of this game is about creating efficient resource management and resource flow, right?
Uh
From gathering logs, harvesting trees, making sure your trees and your forests are sustainable and that you can replant, and then getting those logs into planks and then building these different things, right? Like you have to manage those pipelines pretty well. Um, what I really liked about this is I felt like it was actually pretty pared down on resources considering, right?
mm,
Where it didn't feel like I was juggling like 30 different
like a
resources.
million everything. Yeah, yep.
Like if you really had like, for example, your logs figured out and you had some food supplies figured out, like you could ride that wave for a pretty long time before you had to do any like significant changes to how you were harvesting different resources. The science resource also, for example, to spend those science points to get upgrades. Like, I just felt like it was pretty clear. It usually came back to like four or five main resources. It's like, okay, do I need more of this one resource? Because if I get this one, then I know that everything else is going to kind of work out as I need to make purchases down the line.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I really liked about it. And so it's like, okay, I can understand the resource management pretty well here. Yeah, I would just say that like most games of this genre, it's actually super complex in terms of just how much information that can get thrown at you. And I think that this is potentially another problem of city builders and automation games where it's like, am I playing Excel or am I playing a video game right now? You know, I feel like Timberborn does a really good job of like, if you want more information, you can click down into it and you can get into the nitty gritty of the numbers and the stats and what's going on. But also, if you just kind of want your civilization to run for a little bit, you don't have to always be looking at your what you're doing like under a microscope. You can just enjoy kind of watching your civilization work. So yeah, I really enjoyed the balance. I think it hit a lot of important balances for me as a player.
Yeah, I agree. It does a really great job. It scratches that itch of automation and city building management. That's like very satisfying. Kind of when you get things humming to a certain pace. Um, I will say I do have a thesis around video games that I stick to, which is I believe that a game should stand on its own without needing to look up a lot of information from outside sources. I
Yeah.
don't. I believe that like you should be able to find everything you need inside the game to play the game. I don't think Timberborn gets a pass on that because there's just some mechanics that are just complicated enough that you really do have to go. I mean, yeah, you could figure it out through yourself in theory through trial and error, but the problem is that the game is punishing enough where error means like basically potentially complete reset of your playthrough, which is a pretty big time investment like when you've reached certain points in the game, right? Like you built up
Yeah.
pipelines to kind of get things running in a certain way. I don't love that. I end up having to look up a ton of stuff on this game to just figure out how certain mechanics worked. Especially the damming and the water mechanics. It's hard to figure out. There's so
Yeah.
many different options of like things that you can build, and it's like, whoa, this is like I'm looking at 18 different building objects that come when it comes to just manipulating the waterway.
Yeah.
I'm like so out of my league. I felt like there should have at least, it has that little tutorial bar on the bottom right. That thing did not go nearly far enough, man. Like that needed to go
Yeah.
another like maybe 20 or 30. At least like because the waterway, like manipulating the water is such a big part of the game. I felt like they needed a tutorial like just for that piece, to be honest.
I was also surprised the tutorial like bubbles that would pop up pretty much ran out after 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's like barely anything. Yep.
And it was like, oh, and you should be able to figure it out from here. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And yeah, I actually think the majority of mechanics I was fine figuring out. There were two that really were stumped me. One, it was dams, right?
Yep.
It was like, okay, and some of it did come down to experimentation. It's like, do I want to build a dam here? Do I want to build a levee here? Like, what exactly do I
Yes.
want to be here to funnel the water in and to control how much water is coming through? And the other thing was districts. I mean, I think in part what I learned is if you want to make a new district, you want to make it pretty far away from where you are already established, because it takes a lot of setting up to make sure that there's the borders between districts work the way that you want them to. And so it's kind of strange. So much of this game depends also on just like how far your paths go.
Yeah.
So like I was trying to make, I mean, this was huge for like determining your district boundaries, right? If a path went somewhere, then it probably would be within a district. But like I said, I was making them just too close to each other, and so these boundaries kept overlapping, and the pathing that I'd already created really messed things up. So
Um,
I was like, okay, because what I was doing, I don't know. One of the reasons I like city builders is because I get really into them. I'm like, oh, we're gonna make this path that goes over
yeah.
this hill, and
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm like, okay, and this could be like the hilltop district, and I'll emphasize like these types of resources and building here, and I'll make it work
Right.
like this because that's where these resources are, and I could probably put farms up there, or whatever it is, right? But the pathing of the districts just kept clashing, really, really often, and so yeah, basically I learned like I could redo my entire thing and just like make districts really far away from each other and then have them organically kind of form borders as they get bigger and grow towards each other. But yeah, otherwise like what kind of buildings you needed, the resources that you needed for those buildings and how you would get beavers to work and do these different things, all of that flowed really well. And I think in my opinion, it really deserves the overwhelmingly positive on Steam because of that. Because you can, I guess, just like the dominoes fall, everything kind of just runs at one point.
Yep.
And once you hit that, it's an immensely satisfying feeling.
I think one criticism I have on the design is I needed more ambient sounds from the beavers. There's not nearly enough ambient sounds from the beavers. That's like such a nitpick, but I wanted to zoom in on the beavers and hear them like, fixing their teeth or like hanging out by the fire or
Yeah,
like chopping the wood, and there's no ambient noise. So that was kind of irritating.
the little patter of their feet or their
Yeah,
tails as they're
exactly. It's just
connecting
like
to
one of
each
those
other.
like little cut into peanut butter jelly sandwich and triangles things that like
Yeah.
anyway. That's nitpicky. And Desert Game who does an amazing job of that is Anno 1800. You can like
Mhm.
zoom in right into the town and literally just like sit your screen there and you'll hear like a million different things. Anyway, yeah, overall fantastic gameplay loop, super addicting. I think for me, I love story modes. Dude, I love city builders with story modes. It's such a weird like niche thing that I like because like most people who play city builders like don't give a crap about the story mode.
Right.
But that's one of the reasons I love Frostpunk is because it just is such a great mix of those two things. I
Yeah.
wish more city builders had like engaged campaign, but I think this game is so ripe for that. I hope someone makes a great mod for like a story mode version of
Mhm.
this. But
Yeah.
let's talk about the impact on the industry for Timberborne. Again, this is a game that's actually been out and about for 5 years and is just now released in 1.0, so I'm sure it'll probably get another kick. Jake, what's your impression of, I mean, this is a city builder, pretty PC niche. You think this is going to do anything in terms of like industry impact?
There is actually one random detail I wanted to point out, and it's that of course I played this on PC. My PC is not amazing, but it's not a potato. Like it's fine. It's good. I can pretty much play most games on it.
Yeah.
This game ran so beautifully
Nice.
on my PC, and it kind of makes me wonder if like how much of that time in early access was spent on optimization,
Yeah.
because I just felt like I don't know, I just felt like Timberborn like was barely impacting my PC. And I was a huge fan of that. I mean, it's a small thing, but like I wanted to talk about this on impact on the industry, just like, and we talked about this earlier, right? We're talking about this with Crimson Desert. Like, unfortunately, you can have a really stellar game, but if performance tanks right out the gate, like it's got
Mm-hmm.
problems, you know?
Yep.
And I think I'm thinking of like, what was it? Star Wars Outlaws, Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Yep.
These were two games that are both fantastic games in their own right, and we have episodes on those if you want to hear our opinions on them. But just poor optimization just led people to just put the brakes and just like wait. And the longer they waited, the less likely they are to just pick up a game at full price. They'll pick it on some sort of discount, and then they'll, you know, move on with their lives if they end up getting it at all, right? The industry, I feel like the launch window to get like gamer attention is just so short that and it kind of sucks. There's very little forgiveness, like in terms of how your game launches. And so I just feel like with Timberborn, a game that's been in early access for 5 years, developed its own community of supporters, and then it launched with like really fantastic optimization, at least from what I can tell from what other people have said in my own personal experience. It's like, well, this is a game that will probably be able to stretch that market, you know, like just advertising attention span of gamers because it doesn't have a hitch here. And I just wonder, again, like I've said, you and I, we're pretty big fans of early access. We think it has a lot more pros than cons. I'm like, man, if your game is in early access for 5 years, do you have the opportunity to optimize the heck out of your game so that it launches smoothly? Seems like it worked out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I love the fact that this could sit in early access for that long. And yeah, I mean, we've talked about early access ad nauseum. I think we're huge fans of it. I think more games should take advantage of it and kind of lean on it. I think it can be a way to fund the game, like as you're developing it and as you're perfecting it, and kind of deflect. And again, we've talked about these things many, many times, but as a way to sort of deflect launch criticism while still kind of working on the game and refining it so that it's ready
Yeah.
when it comes out. And yeah, and Timberborn definitely did this. I don't think this is a game that blows up the universe, but I think it's a game that's obviously has very strong sales and strong word of mouth and like will do
Yeah.
well on PC. And if you're interested in city builders at all, yeah, pick this one up. This one's super addicting. Like you'll definitely have at least one night that you'll be up till like 2 a.m. trying to optimize your
Yeah.
beaver civilization.
Yeah, honestly, I think if you're a fan of city builders or automation games and you play on PC, there's really actually zero reason for you not to get this game. It's going to check all those boxes. If you're a fan of this genre, if you're a PC gamer, I think Timberborn is like a super easy game to recommend, right? I agree with you. Like I don't like maybe this game gets some sort of a console port, but I feel like city builders, dude, it's a as somebody who primarily plays with a controller, it's really hard to play a city builder
It's
not
so
on mouse and
hard.
keyboard.
Yeah, I don't know how you
You know?
do it. Yep.
I mean, it would be super cool if this game got a Switch 2 edition, you know, and where it uses the Joy-Con mouse
Yeah.
functionality.
Yep.
Like that would be really cool. And I feel like the Switch 2 and because of that design feature of the hardware, like yeah, I mean release Timberborn on Switch 2. Sure, like I think that would be really cool. It'd be great to have a game like this on the go. Um, but yeah, I agree. Like otherwise, this is a pretty niche market that I think the devs behind Timberborn understood really well, and they absolutely delivered on it. The other thing I want to point out is that this is actually a self-published game,
Yes.
which I know we had talked about briefly just in our Discord. We've been talking about things with the video game industry, and the idea we talking a little bit about distribution and publishing for video games.
Right.
Um, I'm self-publishing to me always seems super risky just because the market is so saturated. But
Mm-hmm.
I would love to know how the devs here were able to be in early access for 5 years and then launch a game as polished as this one, totally self-published. And that makes me wonder if it like was it like government grants or like did they get funding? I guess the cynical side of me is like, where'd you get your funding really? If this is self-published, but hopefully this kind of stands as like a, I don't know, a beacon to other people who are thinking about self-publishing that it is possible. But yes, the cynical side of me has question marks. I want to know how they did that.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our conversation around Timberborne. This is out in 1.0 now on Steam. This is a fantastic city builder. Make your beaver civilization manipulate the water physics in 3D. It's super cool, man. It's super cool. Great game to just sink your teeth into and get addicted to. Check this out on PC. Yeah, if you like the show, let us know. Leave a review on your podcast platform of choice. Helps more people find the show. If you want to support us, you can do that at patreon.com/PreterCast. You can sign up for the deluxe edition and get access to extended editions of our regular episodes plus special topics. We just recently did a special topic responding to one of our Discord and Patreon members and talking about a whole bunch of random crap like the food we're going to eat at PAX, hopefully bagels, or whatever. I don't know. Tell us what the best Boston food is, everybody. We need to know while we're there. Follow Jake. Watch him stream, twitch.tv/chipdip18. And thanks so much for listening. And have a great night.